Our story begins in a classroom at Jiangsheng High School. Their teacher, Chen Fan, then announces that the students need to get ready for the liberal arts exam. He also warns them that the military exam is dangerous, and he doesn't recommend it for anyone with low-level abilities. That's when we meet our protagonist, Xu Jingming, who reveals that he's actually a time traveler. This new world is called Blue Star, and its level of technology is pretty similar to Earth's. But the main difference is that this place is infested with terrifying, bloodthirsty beasts. To fight back against these creatures, some humans manage to awaken special abilities. Everyone can awaken their superpowers at 16, and they come in all sorts of types. So these abilities are divided into 9 levels, but most people only awaken between F and D rank. Our boy's ability is a weak E-level electricity, about as powerful as a taser. Suddenly, a classmate asks him if he still plans on taking the martial arts exam. The bully calls him a loser, and says he should just stick to liberal arts so he doesn't embarrass the school. However, a girl stands up for him and tells the bully to mind his own business. The irritated boy snaps back, saying he'll show her who's best during the unified exam. And before storming off, he adds that Shu will just end up getting himself killed in the test. The classmate tells him not to worry about the bully, since everyone has their own worth. In the Great Xia Nation, education is split into 2 paths. Those with weak powers can live as ordinary people, but those who choose the military path have to enter a zone and desperately fight against beasts. Only after passing these exams can students get into a university for the superpowered. Our protagonist thinks to himself that even if he skips the exam, he can't run from the beasts, which could invade at any moment. Then he remembers that his parents in this world were victims of a monster horde in the past. Because of that, Shu doesn't want to be powerless and unable to react to these situations ever again. Filled with determination, he reaffirms his decision and chooses to take the dangerous military exam. A little while later, classes were finally over. Back at home, our boy was hard at work training. In his training, he's combining his electricity with his weapon. He executes several moves with his spear, trying to perfect his combat technique. After so much effort, the young man pauses for a moment, completely exhausted. With his body at its limit, he finally collapses onto the floor, saying he can't practice anymore. He's been training for 2.5 years, but his proficiency is still at a beginner's level. However, the skill he had bought makes him stronger than a typical awakened user. He knows that the death rate in the military exam for students below D level only gets higher every year. Even so, to get into the university for superpowers, he's willing to fight to the death. Then, as he gets up from the floor, the boy is faced with a strange panel that starts to glow. And finally, our beloved system makes its appearance. Shu is completely shocked, with no idea what's happening at that moment. The system announces that the activation was a success and asks if he wants the starter pack. With a smile on his face, he wonders curiously what could be inside this gift. The screen reveals that the package includes an S-level superpower and 200 power points. Powers like that are so rare that it takes an entire country 3 to 4 years for just one person to awaken one. Even though he's just E-rank trash, he realizes he now has a chance to change his destiny. Without hesitating for a second, the young man reaches out his hand and accepts the reward. Right after, he gets a confirmation and the S-rank superpower Purple Thunder begins to be released. A powerful energy envelops his heart as the new ability finally manifests. The hero screams in pain as intense purple electricity courses through his entire body. Then, an explosion of power takes over the room as the release process continues. The blast of power shatters the windows of the protagonist's house, leaving everything in pieces. Outside, some people get spooked by the strange smoke coming from the boy's house. A worried neighbor calls the fire department, thinking something went wrong at the Su family's place. Meanwhile, the hero continues to feel immense pain as the transformation process rapidly advances. The sky suddenly turns dark, and people on the street wonder what caused the change in the weather. High above, an immense dragon made of electricity emerges from the clouds, terrifying everyone. A high-ranking official feels the pressure and thinks that a powerful thunder beast is about to invade. Because of this, he orders the Jiangsheng Third Army to go on maximum alert. The electric creature hovers over the city with a threatening, power-filled gaze. Finally, the process reaches 100%, and the superpower transformation is complete. The energy around him dissipates, and we see that the training room has been completely destroyed. Our protagonist clenches his fist, feeling the overwhelming strength. This is the Divine Thunder, a power so strong it can destroy someone with a single blow. He looks at the mess and thinks that the noise was way too loud, but luckily he managed to get it under control. Then he remembers he got 200 ability points and wonders what they're for. The system explains that the points can upgrade levels and skills, and he can earn more by killing beasts. Shu laughs and says he likes this hack, then tells it to open the panel. The screen shows his status as an unranked awakened with his new S-level ability. Since the exam is tomorrow, he decides to use his 200 points to improve as much as possible. He decides to strengthen his physique and spirit first, since superpowers stem from those attributes. Then, the numbers start to climb rapidly as he distributes his power points. A dark purple aura envelops him as the young man feels the energy flowing through his body. He wonders if this is what it feels like to have your energy and blood circulation enhanced. After that, he clenches his fist and prepares to test his new ability. Our boy slams his lightning-wreathed fist into the ground, demonstrating his overwhelming power. The young man smiles, satisfied, and says that with his basic attributes improved, everything feels much stronger. His two main attributes increased by 20 points, and now he has more vitality and spirit. With his current power, he's sure he'll get into the university and wonders what his ranking will be. Then the protagonist kicks his spear into the air, and as he catches it, he decides to head to a martial arts gym to test his specific power levels. Suddenly, the door to his house is busted open. To the young man's surprise, a few firefighters burst in, leaving him completely confused. The team leader explains that they received an emergency call about a fire there. The hero apologizes and explains that the mess was caused by his superpowers fluctuating. The firefighter understands the situation and radios and that the emergency is over and they can leave. As they're leaving, the man is impressed that a student caused so much commotion just by training. Outside, the fire truck drives away while curious neighbors watch. A neighbor congratulates him on his dedication, and the young man says he's going to practice a bit more. For the awakened, training was essential, which is why martial arts halls were created. Our boy arrives at one of the most famous halls in the nation, the Thunder Hall. The Ferocious Bear Hall is expensive and for rich students, but the Thunder Hall is free for high schoolers. Inside, he sees a group of students and seems to recognize a girl among them. This girl is Tang-Chi, our protagonist's cousin, who appears to be quite popular. She has a confident air about her and is chatting excitedly with some other students. The young man approaches and greets her, surprised to find her at the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. His cousin replies that she's just with some friends, while another girl looks on with interest. He then says his goodbyes, telling them he's heading to the training room and to have fun. His cousin thinks he seems different, and her friend asks who that handsome guy was. She reveals that the young man is her cousin, and that he's also taking the military exam tomorrow. Her friend, all excited, says he'd be a great boyfriend to show off. But her cousin throws a bucket of cold water on the idea, revealing that he only has an E-class superpower. One of the guys says he's brave, but the cousin thinks the risks are too high. To change the subject, the girl calls her friends over to finally explore the hall. Her friend comments that he's been training at the Ferocious Bear Hall for 3 years and has never been here before. Meanwhile, our hero is already in a training room, preparing to test his strength. He holds the spear and notices it feels lighter, but realizes it's just because his physique has gotten stronger. With the exam coming up, he knows there's no time to find a more suitable weapon. So he decides to test his maximum strength first, without the help of his superpower. With a focused expression, the young man prepares for the first test strike. He grips the weapon firmly and uses all his strength to deliver a powerful attack. The young man lands a powerful and precise blow on the training target. The spear's impact is so strong that it cracks the entire surface of the target. At this, the meter shows a reading of 321 calories, and the target regenerates. His physical strength has nearly doubled, while a typical awakened only has about 100 calories. Next, he decides to test his new superpower, the Divine Thunder. The hero concentrates, and purple energy begins to crackle around his body. Then he unleashes a lightning attack on the target with the power of thunder. With that, the meter shoots up to an incredible 3,021 calories. As expected of an S-class superpower, he's impressed with the result. But our boy knows this still isn't his power limit. His trump card is combining his physical strength, superpower, and combat skills all at once. So, he combines everything and unleashes an attack even more devastating than the last one. The electrified spear hits the target with overwhelming thunderous force. At the point of impact, a sphere of purple energy forms, ready to explode. With a war cry, he releases all the accumulated power in the final blow. The energy explodes in a vortex of power, completely destroying the training target. In the main hall, everyone feels a strong tremor and wonders if it's an earthquake. On the same floor, the hero's cousin and her friends nearly lose their balance from the shaking. One of the guys is shocked and says the energy fluctuation is from a superpower user. His friend wonders who it could be since the strong users train elsewhere, not here. With that, the protagonist's cousin becomes determined and decides to go check out what happened. The group follows the source of the energy, and they see Shu walking away from the area. She then asks if he's heading home, and our boy confirms, saying he needs to prepare some more. So his cousin wishes him good luck on the exam, and meanwhile, the others head toward the room. They reach the door of the training room, and one of them confirms that the tremor came from in there. When they open it, they see the target completely destroyed and are shocked by the scene. The friend is impressed by the destruction and wonders if there's really a student that's strong in the city. The guy doubts it was a student, thinking it must have been a stronger user who went to the wrong floor. Another classmate agrees, saying that not even the geniuses from the capital cities can reach this level of power. But his friend remembers that Shu was just here and suggests he might be a secret genius. One of the classmates laughs at the idea and says she's been reading too many stories online. The other guy supposes the powerful user must have left through another hallway, which is why they didn't see him. The young woman approaches the destroyed target, and while analyzing the damage, she replies with a maybe. As she touches one of the holes, she notices that the marks look like they were left by a spear. The girl remembers her cousin leaving with his spear, and wonders if she had been underestimating him this whole time. Finally, the day of the military exam arrives, and we see several students gathered in a ruined area. The students get off the buses, already armed and ready for the test to begin. Our protagonist also steps off the bus, carrying his spear with a confident look in his eyes. Some students look at the test site and get scared when they see a one-horned rhinoceros. Then a young man with a giant sword complains, saying they're all trash if they can't handle this. Our hero's best friend, Lu Ji, asks who that guy with the big mouth is. The arrogant young man is Zhou Mingyang, who has a B-level ability and is already a top-tier user. The protagonist stares at the genius, who's favored to be the best this year, and wonders who's actually stronger. Suddenly, a loud voice shouts out, grabbing the attention of all the candidates. Commander Wang Haiyang introduces himself and says he'll explain the rules before the exam. The commander announces that the exam lasts for 12 hours and the location is the ruined city behind him. The area is divided into 4 zones, and stronger beasts grant candidates more points. He warns that the central area is for the very best and tells them not to risk their lives for points. The protagonist thinks that now he can attack the inner zone or even the central area. Then the exam materials are distributed and Shu goes to get his from his teacher. He receives a small bag with 3 essential items for the survival test. The kit includes a smartwatch, a tactical backpack with supplies, and a safety beacon. The teacher advises him to use the safety beacon if he needs to, because his life is more important. Suddenly, the classmate who defended him from the bully calls his name and runs over to him. She invites him to join her team and promises to protect him during the exam. But one of the team members complains that they can't bring someone weak along with them. Another classmate agrees and says they've changed their minds about what they agreed on earlier. They don't want to carry a burden and refuse to let the boy join their team. His friend gets furious with their attitude, and a big argument breaks out. The protagonist just smiles and says he was planning on going in alone anyway, and that they can form their own team. His friend asks if he's serious, and the worried girl tells him to be careful. The other guys mock the situation and call the girl over to go find Wang Tian. Our protagonist gives them a confident smile, and thinks to himself that he'll get a high score even without them. Suddenly, drones fly over the area, and the Jiangcheng Military University exam finally begins. Just like that, all the candidates rush into the ruined city, each with their own ambitions. The hero's cousin and her friends also charge full speed into the test zone. Our protagonist runs headfirst into the exam, thinking that his time has finally come. He then activates his smartwatch to start logging his points for the test. The device confirms his identity as candidate Xu Jingming from Jiangcheng's second high school. Next, the screen shows the rankings, with Zhou Mingyang in first place with 7 points. Seeing how fast the students from the first high school are, he decides it's time to get moving. He figures he's still far from the central area and decides to head straight for the middle of the danger zone. While running through the streets, our protagonist is surprised by something. He stops in shock when he finds a candidate lying lifeless on the ground, their safety beacon still intact. He's shocked to see that the student didn't get to use the safety beacon in time. The protagonist thinks that if he hadn't awakened his S-class power, he would have met the same fate. He then uses his watch to call for logistics and reflects on the risks and opportunities of life. Suddenly, a sound alerts him to imminent danger, and he quickly spins around. A paw with sharp claws appears, and a new enemy emerges. A shadow wolf lunges forward, and the young man realizes it was left here for an ambush. The hero gets ready for combat and shouts that this is a well-laid trap. The beast rushes toward him, snarling and ready to attack, its eyes glowing. The wolf leaps on top of the protagonist, but he dodges with a quick movement and swiftly turns back towards the shadow wolf. He notes that the wolf is agile, has sharp claws and a strong bite, a true killer of newbies. The creature turns to him with a fierce roar, ready to attack again at any moment. Shu knows that beasts have an aura that intimidates their prey, leaving awakened users defenseless. That's why rich families hire bodyguards to get their kids used to these beasts. Our boy thinks that he doesn't have that luxury and that this is his first time fighting a beast. With a roar, the creature lunges at the young warrior with its sharp claws. But he isn't intimidated, and with a confident smile, he channels the thunder's energy into his weapon. Then the hero pierces the beast's head with his electrified spear, ending the fight quickly. He's surprised to realize that the monster's terrifying aura has no effect on him at all. A notification tells him he killed a shadow cat and earned 3 ability points. He thinks that killing beasts gives points, but weaker ones barely give any, which is a problem. Since the monster's auras don't affect him, he decides to head straight for the dangerous central area. Along the way, the protagonist defeats several shadow cats and iron-furred pigs, gaining more points. He continues his hunt and eliminates dozens of beasts, racking up a lot of points. The young man thinks that while he has points, he lacks experience because his power kills the creatures too easily. He notes that his power uses a lot of energy, and if he used it at full strength, he wouldn't last an hour. With the exam lasting 12 hours, the young man decides not to waste his abilities too early. He then decides to use only his spear, but suddenly, a huge creature appears in his path. The large rhinoceros beast charges forward, sending a car flying into the air with impressive force. The monster was heading right for the protagonist, and without fear, our boy prepares for the imminent battle. With an agile leap, he dodges the creature's attack and repositions himself in the air to strike. Then he twists his body and prepares a powerful blow to hit the monster from above. Sue strikes the beast's head with a precise attack, full of brute force. The creature topples to the ground, defeated, and the hero stops beside it, observing the result. He's surprised by his own speed and wonders if his spear technique has evolved. Upon opening the panel, he confirms that his spear technique has leveled up to the intermediate stage. Our boy thinks that if the intermediate technique is already this strong, he can only imagine a more advanced one. Suddenly, several images of advanced spear techniques flood his mind, and he's shocked by the amount of new information he just received all at once. With a smile on his face, he can't wait to test his new power on a strong beast. Meanwhile, the protagonist's friend and her group are walking through the city, and she spots someone in the distance. The girl gets lost in thought and says to herself that she thinks she saw Sue pass by. A classmate tells her she must be seeing things, since it would be suicide for him to come to this area. But the girl is doubtful. The silhouette was identical, and she wonders how he's doing now. Suddenly, a classmate finds the fallen rhinoceros and calls the group over to see the dead creature. The young woman analyzes the beast and notes that the blood is still fresh and the wound was made by a spear. She's shocked and wonders if the person she saw earlier really was Shu. Her friend doubts it since only a sea-level user could kill the beast alone, and Shu doesn't have that kind of strength. Another classmate suggests that to find out the truth, they just need to check his score on the ranking. The protagonist's friend then checks her watch and is shocked to see his name in the 46th position. Everyone is in disbelief and refuses to accept that an E-level awakened is in the top 50. Meanwhile, in an observation room, the audience comments that the first high school is dominating the top 10. The director of education, Zhang Wenshan, praises Zhou Mingyang and hopes he'll make it into the province's top 100. He congratulates the principals of the first and third high schools, who thank him with smiles on their faces, but the director criticizes the second high school because their best student is only in 18th place. Principal Zhao Yao sees that only 8 of his students are in the top 50 and lists their names. Then he pauses and wonders who this Xu Jingming is, as he's never heard of him before. The other teacher is shocked to hear the name and shouts that it can't be him in the top 50. He wonders if the boy hid his strength, but it's impossible for an E-rank power to suddenly become an S-rank. The teacher laments that only the top 10 have camera coverage, so he can't see how the boy managed to get so many points. Meanwhile, our boy finally reaches the dreaded central area, a high-danger zone. While eating a cracker, he notices there are fewer beasts and figures the stronger ones are intelligent and territorial. Suddenly, Shu senses a presence, and his expression turns serious as a new enemy approaches. With that, a massive tiger appears, destroying cars and advancing with incredible speed. That creature is a blade tiger, a first-class monster with sharp claws and fangs. But our boy thinks he's lucky to have found a strong beast right after entering the central zone. With a smile, he says the monster is perfect for testing his new spear technique. The beast lets out a roar and charges the warrior with everything it's got. Our hero plays a cool spear already in hand, ready for a brawl. He swiftly dodges the creature's first attack. The beast pulls back a little, surprised by its opponent's speed. The MC cracks a little smile and says only a Tiger King would make him break a sweat. With that, he launches a counter-attack, saying he's about to send this beast packing. He faces the monster head on without a shred of fear. Then he lands a clean hit, piercing the creature's body with his spear. The kid stands there posing, just observing the damage he's done. The beast roars in pain and rage, because even riddled with holes, it's not ready to give up. The tiger unleashes a claw attack that slices through and destroys everything around it. The blow is so brutal that even a lamppost is sent flying in 2 pieces. He realizes the critter's vitality is insane and that the beast is still looking for a fight, but our guy warns it that no matter how much the creature struggles, it'll all be useless. With that, he finally decides to use his superpower to end the fight for good. He lets out a shout and channels blue energy into his weapon, prepping for the final blow. The creature screams in agony as the hero's devastating strike hits its mark. Finally, the beast collapses, completely defeated, leaving the scene in total ruin. He notices that first-class beasts are worth almost double the points of unclassified ones. The kid thinks that this dangerous place is actually a goldmine for him to level up. Since a chance like this is rare, he decides to make the most of it to rack up more points. Some time passes and our hero's hunt continues in the ruined city. In the observation room, someone asks Professor Chen Fan if Chu is in his class. Other teachers praise him for having a student in the top 50, but he says all the credit goes to the kid. Out of nowhere, one of the guys points at the screen and announces the kid's ranking just went up again. One of the directors explains that killing an unclassified beast grants up to 8 points. The kid's teacher explains that the watch updates the count every 4 seconds. The director is floored because that means he took out several beasts in just 4 seconds. The director asks the dean why he's never heard of the young man, and the dean replies that he had no idea either. The dean then calls the professor over and asks him to explain what his student's talent is. The professor, all embarrassed, reveals that the student's talent is just a weak E-level electricity. The director is in total shock, and the professor confirms he even advised the kid not to take the exam. The head director figures he must have other qualities, and gets even more curious about the boy. He then says that at this rate the young man will soon break into the top 10 rankings. At that moment they'll find out how he did it, and whether the kid is cheating or not. Suddenly both professors are completely stunned by something they see on the screen. The leaderboard updates and our protagonist's name pops up in the 9th spot on the ranking. Meanwhile, his cousin realizes it was him who caused all the destruction in the training hall. The first place student is surprised to see a rookie in the top 10 and wonders who this Chu Jingming guy is. Just then a drone camera focuses on our protagonist as he runs through the city. The drone films the exact moment he takes down another beast with his spear. He smiles and says the efficiency is much better in the central area, then quickly spots the drone watching him. The kid realizes the tracking drone means he's finally broken into the top 10. With a grin, he thinks that he wasn't going to hide his strength, and that the top 10 is just the beginning. But before heading to the core area, he decides to boost his strength one more time using his points. He notes that even with 300 points, the system hasn't given him any promotion notifications. So he decides to keep upgrading his basic stats for now. With his stats maxed out, he's feeling great and ready to head for the central area. In the core area, a pack of tigers is devouring another creature they've defeated. Hiding, he spots 9 tigers and realizes the one in the middle is the pack leader. With a grin, he gets ready for a fight, thinking he's about to have one heck of a harvest. Suddenly his expression turns serious as he senses someone else nearby. Our hero turns and tells the person to come out, saying he already saw them hiding. The guy is surprised by his perception and recognizes him as the rookie from the top 10. Our protagonist recognizes him as Zhou Mingyang and asks if he knows him. The genius explains that he knows all the strong players and noticed the new face on the exam leaderboard. Zhou then says he's got his eye on the tigers, and our hero asks if he's trying to steal his kills. The guy tells him not to get the wrong idea and suggests they work together, but our boy shuts him down immediately. With a confident smirk, the kid says he's more than enough to handle it by himself. He doesn't even give the other genius a second thought, and just heads right in, getting ready for the fight. Spear in hand, he walks toward the pack of ferocious tigers. The monsters glare at him with hatred, and the pack leader lets out a furious roar. He notices the beasts are smart and are even using a simple attack formation. At that, the tigers roar in unison and prepare to attack the intruder. One of the creatures lunges forward, trying to hit him with its claws. Hiding, Joe just watches, wondering if the rookie has an ace up his sleeve or if he's about to bite the dust. But our guy unleashes his blue energy, showing he's not messing around. He spins his weapon with incredible skill, and the spear becomes enveloped in his powerful aura. The warrior attacks, first unleashing a spinning strike into the middle of the beast pack. The first tiger's attack is deflected, its claw blocked by the spear. The young man dodges and positions himself for a counterattack as the creature rushes past him. With a single precise strike, he finishes off the first beast and gains some skill points. In a flash, 2 more creatures are down, completely defeated by the kid, but he doesn't even have time to breathe as another monster attacks him from behind with its claws. The pack leader roars with fury upon seeing its partners lying on the ground. Our hero laments that his physical strength isn't quite enough to take them all down at once. With that, the remaining tigers surround him, and the leader prepares for the final assault. The Tiger King lets out a deafening roar that releases a powerful wave of energy. The sound is so intense that even the hidden Zhou feels the impact and covers his ears. But our guy says the beast might scare others, but it's not going to intimidate him. Without wasting a second, he hurls his spear with all his might toward the pack leader. The creature charges forward to intercept the attack, preparing for a close quarters fight. With an agile leap, the young man jumps onto the creature's back to deliver the final blow. With a precise move, he pierces the monster's body with the blade of his weapon. With that final strike, he takes out the Tiger King and earns 20 skill points from the system. Zhou is completely stunned and wonders what kind of monster this rookie is to defeat them all at once. He smiles at his haul, wondering how many points he'll have by the end of the exam. Our hero thinks the more the better, and decides to look for the next group of beasts. Zhou comes out of hiding and asks how he defeated the tigers and what his ability is. Our hero leaps away and replies that his ability is the lightning type. Zhou gets ticked off and accuses him of lying just to hide his real power. He thinks the rookie will soon catch up to him and score, and decides to check the leaderboard. But to his surprise, the board shows the kid has already passed him, hitting the #1 spot. In the observation room, the directors are celebrating, because now they're certain the guy is a genius. The head director says he could lead the city into the top 100 and congratulates the professor. With tears in his eyes, the young man's teacher says his school will finally get some recognition. 3 hours later, Zhou is walking through the core zone wondering where all the beasts went. Suddenly, a girl says he should ask the first place student, and Zhou recognizes the two of them. She explains that our hero defeated all the creatures, which is why they had to team up. Zhou can't believe it, because it's impossible for one person to have cleared the entire core zone alone. The girl says he must not have seen the rankings, and shows him the first place score. The guy panics when he sees his rival has over 3,400 points. The girl explains that this means he killed nearly 200 beasts alone in the core zone. With that, Zhou understands why he didn't want help, and that he had planned this all along. The big guy explains that they're heading to the innermost zone, because the exam is almost over. With a smile, the purple-haired girl invites Zhou to join their group. Meanwhile, our hero is resting on a pile of defeated monsters under the moonlight. He eats a granola bar and thinks that his supplies and the exam time are running out. To get more points, he needs to go deeper, but first he decides to get stronger. With that, he opens his status and sees accumulated over 2,400 points. With a mischievous grin, he decides to spend all his points on a single attribute. After the upgrade, he feels ready to face the finale of this year's combat exam. Meanwhile, Zhou's group runs through the city together, preparing for the final challenge. Out of nowhere, a giant crystal monster appears, and the final rush of the exam begins. Our hero faces the creature and wonders what this year's second-order beast is. The group of students is on high alert with the arrival of the giant creature. They identify the monster as a bloodthirsty wild bear with glowing red eyes. With one swipe of its paw, the beast destroys everything around it, showing off its absurd power. The group starts to panic because the creature's hide is way too tough, and a single hit could take them all out. Seeing the situation, the dark-haired girl suggests they should give up on the mission. She explains that even before the bear could attack, they'd be defeated by the other high-level monsters. At that, the girl decides to leave, because her life is worth more than points, which irritates the long-haired guy. But suddenly the purple-haired girl points in the distance, saying someone is coming. Another young woman recognizes the person, and is surprised to see it's the first-place student. Our hero then charges forward with his spear in hand, surrounded by his lightning aura. The girl who was about to bail is now complimenting his looks while the others complain about the test. His arrival unfortunately alerts the horde of beasts, which now rush toward him. The MC leaps into the air and with a quick strike of his weapon defeats the first enemy. With no time to rest, more furious creatures charge to attack the young warrior. Alone in the middle of the street, he faces the horde of monsters surrounding him from all sides. The beasts charge all at once, swallowing the protagonist in the middle of the crowd. The group watches in shock, and the girl decides to help, but the bald guy says it's his own fault. They hold her back, but the young woman shouts that the guy is her cousin, and she won't let him perish there. Suddenly, in the midst of the monsters, a purple light begins to shine brightly. With that, a massive explosion of lightning hits everything, and the shockwave sends the horde of creatures flying. Zhou feels the energy and wonders if this is the lightning superpower the hero mentioned. At the center of the explosion, the kid stands up, surrounded by lightning and the bodies of defeated monsters. He explains that his physical strength can't handle it, which is why he needs to use his ability. With a smirk, he admires his S-rank power and says he's strong as heck. After the dust settles, we see that the young man defeated the entire horde of monsters with a single blow. Now he faces the giant bear, which watches him with its glowing red eyes. With a deafening roar, the giant creature charges to attack the lone warrior. He thinks the bear is big but not very fast, and that his power can handle the job. But he notes that the creature's minions could be a problem once the fight starts. With that, our hero closes his eyes and prepares for the final battle against the huge monster. With his eyes glowing, he decides he'll clear the area first before the main event. In the blink of an eye, he rushes full speed at the giant creature's minions. With a direct hit, he pierces the first monster with the blade of his sharp spear. He continues the attack, and the system notifies him that he's gained 13 superpower points. With a smile, he thinks about his S-rank power, but knows he can't maintain this state for long. But he says it's more than enough to finish off all the ferocious beasts around him. With a spinning strike, he defeats another creature and gains 15 points from the system. Seeing its minions fall, the giant bear roars in fury and prepares to attack. With all its strength, the creature charges at high speed, cracking the ground with its paws. Without hesitation, the young man hurls his lightning-covered spear at the monster's chest. The spear hits the target dead, but the attack doesn't seem to have much effect on the beast. With an agile leap, the kid uses the creature's body to launch himself high into the air. But the bear uses an ice ability and launches a powerful attack at the hero in mid-air. The creature roars with all its might, unleashing a wave of freezing energy. With a grin, the kid asks if the beast is angry because he took out its minions. He tells the beast not to be impatient, because he'll take care of it after defeating the last minion. The giant bear snarls in fury, its red eye glowing with intense hatred. Out of patience, the creature smashes its own minion to get to the warrior faster. Our guy is surprised, not expecting the monster to anticipate his move. With its paws, the beast creates a powerful shockwave that spreads across the entire street. The blast of energy sends cars and debris flying everywhere with immense force. The attack destroys a shadow figure the hero used to trick the giant creature. But the real warrior appears from above, ready to strike the bear's head with his spear. With a smirk, he says, "Now they'll see if the monster's hide can take a beating from his thunder." He says the monster's slower than expected, and then lunges with his electric spear. The strike unleashes a blast of lightning that engulfs the creature, while a drone films the whole thing. The force of the shockwave is so strong the group of students has to brace themselves to avoid being thrown back. Meanwhile, in the control room, the evaluators watch the fight, completely floored by what they're seeing. One of the men then yells at Director Zhao, asking how that could possibly be an E-rank ability. Another guy explains that with this power, he's taken down high-rank beasts and even fought a rank 2 boss. At this, the man with glasses wonders if it could be a case of the kid's ability mutating. But the director just smiles, thinking that after today, the young man's name is going to shake up the entire world. However, even after that massive hit, the giant beast is still standing and glares at our hero with pure rage. The bear then lets out a mighty roar and charges straight for the young warrior without a second's hesitation. The guy is sent flying by the blow and realizes the wound on the monster was just a scratch. He manages to land safely on the ground, using his spear to steady himself so he doesn't fall. Our hero figures the beast's hide is resistant to blades and doesn't conduct electricity well either. Because of that, he knows that with his current strength, it'll be tough to beat the bear in a single shot. Just then, a dark aura begins to seep from the monster's body, making it even stronger. Our hero is stunned to see the shadowy aura that now covers the giant creature's body. With this power up, the beast charges forward with insane speed, destroying everything in its path. The monster leaps toward the young warrior, ready to crush him with its sharp claws. But the guy manages to defend against the attack, using his spear to absorb the full impact of the blow. He realizes the bear has activated its berserk ability, and now hates his guts way more than before. The creature then lands on the ground and stares down the young man with its red, hate-filled eyes. With a deafening roar, the giant bear flashes its sharp fangs to intimidate the kid. Then the beast starts running in a zigzag pattern, trying to confuse our hero with its newfound speed. The hit is so powerful that the guy is thrown back, and his spear ends up flying out of his hands. Even so, he smiles and thinks that the monster's physical strength got a major boost after its transformation. He knows the beast's intelligence has dropped significantly, and that it's now running purely on instinct. So, the best strategy is to use his agility to keep the giant creature at a distance. He grips his weapon tightly and waits for a chance to incapacitate the monster for good. The bear attacks once more, but the young man manages to block the strike with his lightning-wreathed spear. With that, he concentrates a huge amount of energy at the tip of his spear for his final attack. The beast is pushed back by the sphere of energy and tries to resist with all its might. With his eyes glowing, the young warrior then prepares his most powerful strike of all. He raises his arm and unleashes an absurd amount of lightning down on the giant monster. At that moment, the bear is hit dead on by the electric discharge and can't even react. A massive explosion of purple lightning completely envelopes the creature, destroying everything around it. After the dust settles, we see the monster on the ground, completely taken down by the attack. With a smirk, he says that 30 seconds of his divine lightning can break through any defense. However, the bear's eye is still glowing red, showing that it hasn't been defeated just yet. With that, the creature gets up, fuming with rage, and charges toward our hero once again. But the beast stops mid-stride, as the electric attack ended up leaving it paralyzed. Our protagonist gives a sinister grin and says that now's the time to end this. He then backs up a bit and grips his spear with both hands, getting ready to attack. The guy channels all his electrical energy into the weapon, making it vastly more powerful. He aims the spear at the monster's head and uses his strongest technique for the final blow. With that, a beam of energy pierces through the giant bear's head, defeating it once and for all. The monster's head explodes on impact, destroying the ground around it and creating a massive crater. And with that, the giant beast body finally falls to the ground, completely still and defeated. The system then informs him that he's defeated the bear and gained 24 skill points. The guy says it's finally over and that his enhanced power didn't let him down in the fight. He smiles, thinking the battle only lasted 2 minutes but was the most thrilling one he's ever had. With his spear in hand, he wonders how many points he'll get for clearing out the core area. Back in the control room, the time for the combat exam finally runs out for everyone. The final scoreboard shows Xu Jingming with 10,835 points, leaving everyone in shock. The directors celebrate like crazy, as he not only broke the city's record but the province's record too. They recall that the previous champion scored 8,000 points, and that this kid has already secured the title. He looks at the beast's body and realizes there isn't much time left before the exam ends. The guy then decides to head back to the central area and take down as many monsters as he can. With that, the young warrior starts running back and passes by the group of students. The others are shocked and wonder why he's heading back since he's already in first place. The girl with purple hair notices that, based on his direction, he's going toward the city's central area. At that, her eyes go wide as she understands he's not going back to rest. The group then realizes our hero's intention is to wipe out all the remaining beasts. Because of this, the long-haired guy says the team up is over, and if they don't hustle, they'll be left with no points. They all split up and run desperately to try and snag some points before time is up. An hour later, an announcement declares the exam is over and that taking down beasts no longer awards points. One of the girls hears the announcement, completely exhausted, and realizes it's finally over. Some students lament that they were so close to passing, while others celebrate their results. Our protagonist is standing in the middle of several defeated monsters but seems unsatisfied that it's over. The candidates are then escorted out of the test area by guards and a few drones. Another group of students leaves the combat zone, looking pretty worn out after the fight. Near the bus, a girl asks Kyuki if the hero is really her cousin, and she confirms it. With a sly grin, her friend then begs her to slide over the guy's number. The cousin says she'll think about it, because yesterday she wouldn't give him the time of day. But now everything's changed. Just then, someone shouts that Xu Jingming is coming out, and the crowd rushes in his direction. Everyone gets super excited and shoves each other to try and get a closer look at the first place winner. The protagonist then appears with a calm and determined look on his face as he stares at the crowd. The crowd congratulates him, and some even ask for points, but he just keeps walking without a care. He completely ignores the other students and walks toward the school bus. Meanwhile, the second and third place winners admit that he's a monster with that score. A man then approaches and introduces Director Zhao, who offers the young man a ride. The guy accepts, knowing he wouldn't get a moment of peace on the bus, with so many people hounding him with questions. With that, the two get into a black car and leave the exam site at high speed. Inside the vehicle, the director asks if he's already decided which university he wants to go to. The protagonist replies that he's been too focused on getting stronger and hasn't thought about it. The man then says he can pick anyone he wants, but recommends the top 3 in the country. The director introduces Qingjing University, which is linked to an official organization and guarantees a job after graduation. Next, he shows him Modu University, where the National Guardian graduated from and which has many elite clubs for students. And finally, Jinqing, which has 200 years of history and high-level cultivation methods for students to strengthen themselves. The young man then wonders what exactly these level superpower cultivation methods he mentioned are. The man explains that with a beginner method, it takes up to 4 years to evolve, but with an elite one, it takes only half a year. He tells the kid not to worry, because with his results, he can choose any university he wants and get extra perks. The young man thanks the director for all his help, and the car continues on its way through the dark and empty city at night. The next day, our protagonist wakes up and heads straight to the shower to wash up and relax a bit. He enjoys the hot water to rest his body after the intense battle he had in yesterday's combat exam. While he's at it, he checks his stats and sees he has 2,534 points, which is enough to get into college. He then wonders if college will have beast slaying competitions and considers heading into the wilderness on his own. Meanwhile, his aunt and cousin arrive at his apartment and see the door is broken, so they decide to sneak in. With that, the two burst in yelling, "Surprise!" not knowing that he had just gotten out of the shower at that very moment. Our hero walks out of the bathroom wearing only a towel, and is shocked to see them both there, while they're totally embarrassed by the scene. He then looks at the mess in his room, and thinks about how he can blame them for the situation when the place was already a total disaster. He remembers that after his parents passed away, his aunt took care of him with so much love. She calls his name and looks at him with a gentle smile while holding a glass. His aunt says she doesn't understand the exam, but she was worried and now feels relieved that he's okay. The guy then asks his cousin if she hadn't told her mom anything yet. The girl winks at him and says it's better if he tells the old news to her himself. With an embarrassed smile, he says he did well and scored over 10,000 points on the test. The woman is so shocked by the news that she does a full-on spit take with the drink in her mouth. She asks how many points he scored, and his cousin confirms it was 11,234 points. His aunt is still speechless and looks at her nephew, completely in disbelief at what she just heard. With that, she hugs him, crying with happiness, and says his parents would be so proud of him. Meanwhile, in a meeting room, a woman presents our hero's profile on a large screen. One of the men says they need to recruit him, but another doubts he could have achieved such a high score. They start arguing about whether the guy's power is S rank, or if he cheated on the exam somehow. Suddenly, a mysterious voice orders everyone to stop discussing the matter immediately. The woman then decides to list him as a special recruit, and will personally investigate the case. On his phone, the guy gets a message from the Jiangnan Province Bureau of Education. With a smile on his face, he's thrilled to see the notification that just popped up on his screen. He then celebrates because he got first place and is now the top student in the province. Because of this, his name becomes the hottest topic on the internet, and everyone doubts his power. Meanwhile, at an awards ceremony, several reporters gather to cover the event. A journalist then asks Director Zhao what he has to say about the doubts surrounding the results. Other reporters also pressure him, saying that many people think it was a conspiracy. The director then says that the video of the exam is already on the school's website for everyone to check. Upon seeing the video, the journalists are shocked and wonder how that could possibly be an E rank ability. The director says the video proves everything is real and that the young man deserves major recognition. He then reveals a check for 1 million yuan and says the government will also give the young man a house. One of the reporters gets excited and tells the cameraman to snap a photo for the newspaper's headline. The woman from the meeting is still suspicious and thinks it's important to confirm his power level. Two directors are talking, and one wonders why the star of the day hasn't arrived yet. The other says the hero is training, and the older one is impressed by his dedication. In a room, a director offers tea to 3 important professors, holding a tray in his hands. One of the guests then picks up a teacup with a very slow and intimidating gesture. Director is sweating bullets just from feeling the aura of the high-level superhumans they're emitting. The pressure is so intense that he feels like he's standing in front of legendary monsters. He then wonders if the university representatives are about to come to blows right here in the room. Director Zhang Xiaoyu from Modi University asks who they're trying to recruit. At this, Su Yun from Qingjing University says that if the kid's result is real, he's already hers. But Wu Yuan from Jin City University disagrees, stating that the young man is coming to his school. With that, an aura battle begins between the three, who all want the new talent for themselves. Just then, our protagonist arrives in the room and greets the professors calmly. The guy's arrival interrupts the fight, and everyone looks at him, surprised by his composure. Director Zhang is impressed, because he wasn't fazed by their pressure in the slightest. The director then formally introduces the representatives from the top 3 universities in the country. The woman praises him, saying she saw the exam video and that his combat techniques are insane. But she asks why his power seems so much stronger than what's listed in his file. The guy was expecting the question and explains that he was struck by lightning, which made his power stronger. Hearing this, the 2 representatives conclude that what happened to him was a superpower mutation. Director Zhang then takes out a detector and asks him to test his new mutant ability on the device. She gets closer to the young man and tells him to use his superpower on the detection instrument. The protagonist channels his electrical energy into the device, which begins to glow intensely with lightning. Director Su Yun is impressed by the strength of the lightning and admits she can even feel her heart pounding. The detector then completes its analysis and identifies the power as divine purple cloud thunder. But the device starts beeping uncontrollably and then cracks under the energy overload. Suddenly, the detector explodes into 1,000,000 pieces, and everyone has to shield themselves from the shrapnel. The director is spooked by the explosion and wonders what in the world just happened in the room. The other 2 confirm that the guy's power is at least S rank since it overloaded the device. Director Zhang looks at the young man with a smile and thinks they bet on the right horse. Wu Yuan then offers 4 million and C rank equipment for him to go to Jin City University. Director Su Yun glares at him and asks if he's seriously offering the kid that chump change. With a smile, she offers 6 million and access to all training methods for 1 year. The guy is shocked by the generous offer Director Su Yun just made, but Director Zhang says that Modu can match any offer and throw in S rank resources on top of it. The other 2 are left speechless and wonder what these S rank resources are. Our protagonist is also confused and asks what exactly that type of resource is. The woman then asks if he's ever heard of dragon-type beasts, which are extremely rare. These beasts are born at level 4 or 5 and are much stronger than others. She explains that the resource is the blood of a dragon, which enhances one's physique and grants an affinity for that element. The other 2 are annoyed because they can't compete with such a valuable offer. With that, the three ask the young man to choose which of the universities he wants to join. With a smile on his face, our hero then announces that he has chosen Modu University. The young man explains he chose Modu for its high level of combat training and tradition. He then turns to the other two and thanks them for their consideration. With a smile, Director Zhang materializes the admission letter for the young student. She hands him the invitation and says that as a special recruit, he can enroll early. Our hero then asks if he can consult the library's training methods beforehand. The woman says there's no problem and gives him her contact info for when he arrives in the city. Holding the letter, he's super excited and can't wait to go register at the university. Some time later at the station, the guy waits to board the train to Magic City with his suitcase. His aunt and uncle say their emotional goodbyes, saying the boy has finally grown up and is going to soar. The uncle then tells Kiki to also choose a college in Magic City to stay close to him. His cousin gets all flustered at the idea, but ends up agreeing with her parents in the end. Once on the train, he decides to use the 6-hour trip to review a training method. A chart shows that just like powers, training methods also have 4 levels. He's practicing an intermediate method, and it took him half a day to memorize everything with his power. Following the method, he felt a special energy between heaven and earth on the very first day. With that, the guy notices a prompt to level up has appeared, but he decides not to click it. He knows that the higher the method's level, the stronger he becomes, so he doesn't want to waste the opportunity. After arriving in the city, he gets off the train and walks toward a car waiting for him outside. He's shocked by the size of the school's gate and wonders what it must be like inside. Director Zhang greets him in a red car and takes him to register at the university. She says the campus is about 14 square miles, and one day isn't enough to see it all. The young man admits that seeing it with his own eyes is much better than just hearing about the place. After the paperwork, she hands him his student ID card to get into the dorms. He remembers that in his past life, he saw many types of dorms, even luxury apartments. But the kid is shocked to see that the dorm is a multi-story luxury mansion. The woman explains that since he's the first place winner, he'll live in the most luxurious villa, which is 800 square meters. Our hero thinks that a double dorm would be better than being alone, but he'd actually prefer a room with 4 people. Once inside the house, she says the registration is complete and now she'll explain some rules. Holding up 2 fingers, the director talks about the credit system and the mentor system. She explains that credits are used for everything and that 1 credit is equivalent to 10,000 in cash. She explains that he gets 100 credits per year for being S rank and then calls for the AI Eva. With that, a floating sphere appears and informs the young man that he has 100 credits in his account. The director says this is the school's AI and that the one in the dorms is a level 4 subunit. The guy is shocked by the technology, as it's far more advanced than anything from his previous world. She then moves on to the mentor system, where each student can choose one for themselves. Our hero is surprised and asks if, as a freshman, he can get one-on-one guidance from a mentor. The woman confirms that the mentors are high level and teach secret techniques to their disciples. She recommends Dean Yang Zhenshin, who is one of the school's 4 lightning element mentors. The AI shows that Yang is a level 7 superhuman and a master in the use of thunder spears. The director introduces the other 3 mentors and says the final choice is now all his. With a smile, the young man thinks that Dean Yang is the best choice since he uses the same element. Sometime later, the protagonist goes to a large, traditional-style residence in the forest. He stops in front of the gate and thinks the mentor's house is way more luxurious than the student's. A man with brown hair sees him on the steps and asks if he's there to become a disciple. The guy is surprised to see that the young man is just a newly awakened and a specially recruited student. He says that special recruits are usually high level, and he didn't expect a newly awakened among them. The guy introduces himself as Tan Minjiang, a 3rd year, and our hero says he just enrolled today. Tan thinks it's a bit quick for him to already be seeking a mentor, and the young man is confused by what he said. The upperclassman explains about the freshman competition, where professors look for new disciples. He says becoming the dean's disciple is as hard as winning the lottery, and he might just be wasting his time. The protagonist thanks him for the explanation and asks if the upperclassman is also there for the dean. Tan confirms he's tried several times but was always rejected, and was just about to give up. Just then, a butler opens the door to the house, and is surprised to see the 2 young men. With a smile, the butler invites them in, and says that Professor Yang is already waiting. Tan finds the warm welcome strange and wonders if he'll finally get a chance to be accepted. The butler leads them inside the house, where a man with graying hair waits for them, seated. Our hero feels the powerful presence of Dean Yang Zhenshin, a level 7 superhuman. The master then says he's heard of him and invites him to the training room.